Here we go. All right, welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Today we have our second of our series of 5 Trusted Buyers Club calls. So super excited today to have Roger on here, and Roger is going to be taking us through some of the thinking behind TBC, how you can be making the most of TBC. And what I'm going to request today is, I'm just starting the thread now in the TBC circle, but for any questions and comments and stuff that you have, I'll drop the link in the Zoom chat, but if you can post them on that thread, the reason being, anyone that's watching the recording can't see the chat after the call is done. So if we do it in the circle, people that are watching the chat are able to access all those comments and questions and get answers and stuff in the Genius U circle. So I'll pop the link in the chat in just a second once Roger gets started, but I just wanted to let you know that that's what I'm requesting we do today so that we can save all of the comments and thoughts as legacy as part of all of this. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Roger to take us away.
Fantastic. Okay, very good. Thanks very much, Kathleen. And thanks everyone for being a part of this. I'm so excited about what is going to be happening in the coming months and years, actually, as a result of TBC. I'm going to jump right into it with a number of slides and then a demo on the top 3 steps to master the Trusted Buyers Club. Like, how do you make the most of this? I'm going to go through the slides. Any comments you have, any questions, exactly as Kathleen says, do post them down. And I really hope that this gives an insight as to not just the what and the how, but also the why. I know yesterday you went through exactly how do you actually put your products on. It's amazing to see all the products that are on there already. What I want to do is actually really start with something which is going to even explain why it's called the Trusted Buyers Club, right? So what are the top 3 steps? Let me start with this slide here. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and there was no fiat currency left in the world? What would you do? So as you know, this is exactly the question that I ask at every one of my events, and it's been one which is more of a theoretical thing, but as you always know, what happens is everyone, because you've all been in this process, everyone actually, when they're asked this, will say, well, we wouldn't die. We'd actually find a way to trade with each other. We'd all get together. We'd come up with our own currency, and we'd all just basically get on with it, right? And the biggest part of it isn't even just the fact we'd be okay. It's actually that we'd be different. And in that, I kind of explain the whole idea that when you actually are all together and there's no money, you won't be just sitting at your desk kind of thinking, how do I make a sale? You wouldn't be thinking that, right? You'd be actually saying, well, what can I deliver of value? What can you deliver of value? We'd help everyone to actually be able to be of value to each other. We'd realize that the people that didn't have trust, we didn't want to work with. And people who did have trust, we'd want it as well. And we realize, my gosh, that means I should be building my trust too. And then of course I'm going to be able to make money. And then we actually start realizing that the more we actually do build trust, the more that the flow grows. So money blinds us to all of this because we can, well, if we don't have money, we just go get the money, as opposed to, it was never about the money in the first place. And the most important thing is if you actually start every day where you go, wow, no more money anymore. That means we all get to basically be of value to each other. How could I be of more value? That's exactly the way we should all be thinking as well. So this whole Trusted Buyers Club is really the first step in what is going to be happening over the next 10 years. Which is really in a world where we really are going to be where there is no more money, because the current system seriously is broken. And what we're seeing here, while I know every one of you is here because you're like, you know, I want to get some real results right away. One of the most important things is understanding that this is about the whole point that the current system doesn't work because we're all thinking, I want to get results right away, right? So let me just show you for a moment, like just how broken the system is. And I'll just show you exactly what's going on and how people are solving this out there at the moment. When we talk about something like a microeconomy, and what the Trusted Buyers Club is all about. I'm going to show this video. I think you probably better hear it without too much echo. This was from the news today, right? This was today's news from CNN. So I'm just going to show you about a minute of this video.
The line of cars stretched for more than a mile.
How many people are in your household?
The wait for food at this emergency distribution site in Newark, New Jersey, more than an hour. But the need so great, those who came looking for help were more than willing to wait.
I've never done this before. It's a shame that I have to do this.
Many here say it is their first time asking for food.
There's 2 families in here, okay?
Open your trunk right here.
People like Rita Charles, who brought her elderly neighbor.
So on the one hand, you're seeing what's going on in America right now today. Like, this is not some movie, this is actually happening. But let me just fast forward from the stories of all these people who are actually finding they can't even get food. And then let me just pass on to this one here. This is Feeding America, where they're saying all the increase that's actually happening. And I'm going to continue right here.
Like this one in Little Rock, Arkansas, where they ran out of food in less than an hour Tuesday. The state seeing the biggest spike, Ohio, Florida, California, and Texas, where in San Antonio last week, people lined up for hours. And with the increased demand comes more worries about meeting those demands, given diminishing donations food banks once received from what were reliable sources before the pandemic.
Restaurants, hotels, and caterers aren't donating. Grocery stores are selling out, and so there's not as much food to collect while the demand is doubled.
So much need and yet so much waste. Down the food chain, hogs in Minnesota to be euthanized, chickens slaughtered, their carcasses thrown out, while dairy farmers such as Paul Fouts forced to dump 8,000 gallons of milk last week.
It kind of makes you feel sick to your stomach, really.
Part of the problem, restaurants and schools now closed.
So if you just take that as a thought, you've got all this food that's getting destroyed. You've got all of these people that need food. This is how broken the system is. And this is what happens when everyone needs money to make something happen and no one's got money. So if you actually take that very graphic example of what happens at scale, and you say, does this even happen in the community? Could it be that even in this group of people right here, we all have value to give each other, but we have no easy way to give it, and we're all out there needing value, right? It's exactly the same thing that's actually happening, because we're all kind of like saying, but how do we even convert the value we have to the value that people need in a way to make it work? So the moment you actually take the money out of the equation, or you change the actual structure of money, then you actually start from those first principles, which is, okay, well, how would we start this thing from scratch? And if I actually just share a couple more slides, so you can kind of see we're not on our own in thinking about this. This is not something which is kind of like a nice little, small theory that's, going to like just, be part of a corner of the planet. This is going to affect all of us. Ray Dalio, I've been talking about him. He's actually writing chapter by chapter how the US reserve currency is going to collapse and how pretty much the Western currencies as we know them today will disappear within 10 years. That's pretty massive. And it's not the first time this has happened, right? Like the British Empire was actually around 100 years ago, right? So things actually shift and change. And this changing world order means that we're actually going to have a massive shift in the way things take place as well. US weekly jobless claims, we see how big these are. We're like projecting 165 million people around the world losing their jobs. And while that's happening right now, the governments are just printing money like crazy. Like US dollar has, like basically the Federal Reserve says, we'll just keep on printing money. This came out today. ECB says it's ready to increase coronavirus stimulus as Eurozone posts worst GDP since records began, where they're basically saying, we're going to just keep printing money and giving it to you. They're actually now paying banks to take loans, right? They've gone to negative interest rate, where they're now basically saying at -1%, we'll give you money and we'll pay you to take the money, just loan it. And of course the banks aren't loaning it, they're just keeping it. So it's one thing to have negative interest on money, it's a different thing to have negative interest on debt, which is what's happening. So it means more and more and more debt, which means the whole thing obviously will eventually collapse. ECB is now taking junk bonds. This is so scary to see, basically the money that we're using or that we're wanting to earn being debased so rapidly at the moment. And while this is happening, you say, well, the only reason they can do this is because there's no alternative, right? The reason the US dollar can keep on printing money is they can't do anything different. Venezuela can't do that. And as a result, Venezuela just defaulted on their debt again this month. And they've got inflation rate of over 50%, right? Like there was actually an article today, which was basically like a loaf of bread actually costs more in Venezuela than an entire week's worth of salary, right? So we're seeing in real time the breakdown of the actual current system. This happened with the Fed just last month, where they basically, if you knew before, banks had to have something called fractional lending. They had to have basically 10% of whatever they let loan out to be basically kept in the bank as reserves. They basically took that away. They're now down for the first time in history at 0% reserve, which basically means a bank can just give out like $1 trillion in loan if it wants to, and it has no repercussions of doing so, which means that we basically are seeing the beginnings of the end of the US dollar. Now, while that's happening, you're seeing things like cryptocurrencies go up like crazy. And the biggest news is that the digital yuan, which is China, is now going full tilt ahead. So while everyone's distracted with coronavirus, China is making huge steps forward at actually turning their digital yuan into the next reserve currency. And that's their plan to do that, right? Where you've got zero costs, where they can track everything. And where basically one of the biggest things, this came out in The Economist, is that they can then control basically the movement of currencies all around the world, not just them creating digitally, but like there's a hidden paragraph right down at the bottom, which is really what we're going to be talking about, that not just China can track all of the things they're going to be doing with this currency that's going to take over from the US dollar, but China might find it easier to make nominal interest rates negative. This is what I'm going to be talking about here. Cash would no longer be an alternative to bank deposit because negative interest rates could apply to digital cash itself. Another way of saying that is the entire banking system disappears. So we're going to see private currencies like the one we're doing with Genie Coin, and we're going to see basically communities like the one that we have here, where they're going to start growing. This article just came out this week. Our community currency is a better way to shop. I'll give you the link to this article, but this basically is talking about like the Bristol pound. It's talking about, you know, whole coin. This is where you've got different currencies saying, hey, look, if you don't have a job, if you don't know how to create value, don't use the pound, right? Use our currency, because you can basically just go volunteer for work and we'll give you some of this currency straight away. And the difference is huge, right? Like basically here in Sardex in Sardinia, they've got basically at the moment an unemployment rate of 15%, but all the people that are using their currency, the unemployment rate's down to under 2%, right? It's like, that's because everyone can kind of just come and volunteer some work, get some currency. Those shops can just issue the currency because it's all like organized by that community. It can't go out of the community. Someone can't just steal it all or take it all and then basically go and invest it, and then there's no money for everyone else. It has to keep on circulating, which is what Genie Coin is all about as well. So if you take that and say, well, this is actually happening at scale right now, right? Like this is in Kenya, where they've actually got a community currency. It's gone up 500% during the pandemic, but nobody yet has actually created a system like this that works for entrepreneurs all over the world. But it works, right? It's been shown to work again and again. So everything that I'm going to be showing here is about how we basically, the Trusted Buyers Club, are doing more than just helping you to be able to sell more product. We're creating a system which actually changes the way you think, provided you are really mastering what this is all about and why you're doing it. So I'm going to go through exactly what steps you can take in order to be able to really practice this. And it doesn't start by being a seller. It starts by being a trusted buyer. So a trusted buyer is someone who operates like an ambassador to all the Trusted Buyers Club members. So I was going through all of your products yesterday, and I'm like, how can I help promote the products that I'm seeing on here? Like, how can I, like, you know, if I was to buy one, which one would I want to buy? Given that I've got money to spend right now. And if I was to buy that one, what would I feedback to that person about that? What would I do to actually help them to have a more buyable product? So most of us, we know we come to get training about how to have a buyable product. But then we've got to go out to the market, and the market's not giving us the same feedback as to whether or not they'd buy our product, and if they wouldn't, why they're not buying it, right? So what can we really learn? So you're going to have more learning from the people in the Buyers Club than anywhere else, provided everyone's giving that learning, right? So this is all about being curious, like you being the person that's actually going to be, as a buyer, someone that every seller is trusting to give them good feedback. Be curious, test the products, learn from the club. It's like, oh, that's why that one's selling better than that one. Oh, hey, you should try writing this down instead of writing that down. I'd buy it. You know, if you had this at half the price, I'd buy that tomorrow. So this is about not just like, I'm just waiting for my sales to come in. This is about you saying, okay, I'm going to use this as a way to really learn why things actually sell at certain prices, why things don't sell at all. The one that doesn't sell, I'm going to go to that person and I'm going to say, you know what, I can see some real value in what you do, but I'd much rather actually pay you to do this for me than for me to go buy this thing you put up there. So that you're constantly giving that feedback, and as you give that feedback to others, they actually then say, oh, well, if that's the case, well, then I will do that for you. And you suddenly get the person who was going to do this marketing, you get the person who's going to do your service. Give testimonials, right? Because the more you help others, the more they'll help you. It's like, oh, I can see that one needs another testimonial. I'm going to give that testimony to that person. I'm going to actually be a trusted buyer. They're going to trust me that I'm going to not just help them to learn what it is to buy, but it's going to then make other buyers come to them as well. So a trusted buyer is someone who's a leader who buys, who then gets other people to buy. Give feedback, right? Actively help others to improve their products. So you're actually saying, here's how you'd improve it. Refer others to these products, right? So you're actually saying, oh, I just bought this thing. It worked really, really well. You should buy this as well, right? You know that all our partners are our trusted buyers, right? Like for Genius Group, when we do an event, half the event is filled up by our partners. We know that they all bought our products and they loved our products and they told us how we can improve our products. And we were so busy building them as trusted buyers, they got to a point where they went out to their friends and said to their friends, hey, you should buy as well. So the reason we're so successful today is because we've built such a positive group, not of trusted sellers, but of trusted buyers. And most people haven't done that because they haven't understood that that's actually what it takes to really build a business, right? We're still sitting at home kind of saying, well, how can someone buy from me? As opposed to how do I nurture a trusted buyer? The best way to do it is to be a trusted buyer myself. So refer others to these products. You earn off everything. Remember this, that when you're promoting our stuff, you earn from it. If you promote someone else's products and they're basically on our store, then they earn from it as well, right? So this is about realizing, hey, I can earn off everyone's stuff on here. If I see a really good product, if I start marketing that product to everyone else, and basically I say, hey, go out and get that product, then that, or hey, I'm gonna promote your event coming up. I'm gonna promote your, and then from there, you say, this guy's stuff is really good. Yeah, I'll even be on a webinar with you on this. You're gonna earn money off this anyway, right? And you're gonna actually earn it with higher percentage profit than often that person's earning, because marketing commissions work that way. And make this your microeconomy. Like, tell us all what you want to buy. So if you're saying, if I'm a trusted buyer and what I really want to buy right now is someone who can do my financials, and I don't have anything I can buy in the Trusted Buyers Club because no one's on here who can do that, well then tell us, and then we'll go, great, we'll go find that person, right? Or you know what would be really good is that I just want to basically get some education for my child. If that was on here, then I would actually buy that straight away. We'll go, great, we'll go find that person. So as a result of this, we start building this microeconomy so that it actually delivers everything we want. Eventually, you want to buy food on here. You want to basically buy your accommodation on here. You can get all of that on here as well, right? So you wake up every morning and you say, why do I need money? I've already got my own value, my own talent. I can already give that. Immediately I get currency in return. And when I do that, people are buying the right thing for me. I can buy whatever I want out there, right? So it's about coming from a place of abundance. Now, if you do this, trusted buyer as number one, then the next step is being a trusted seller. So being a trusted, so many of you came on and say, I want to sell my stuff. Well, this is the second. If you don't do the first one, no one's going to buy from you. Why would they buy from you if all you're doing is just sitting back waiting to sell? But if you are there actually saying to them, hey, you should try this, you should try that, they can go, well, what are you doing? What are you up to? They'll reciprocate. They'll come back to you to do the same thing. And suddenly you're having all the people buying from you because you're buying from them. So being a trusted seller is treating this club like your very best live R&D lab, earn or learn. Like, it's like, okay, why did I actually put something on here that no one's buying? Why are they not buying from me? Instead of me sitting back and just being sad that they didn't buy, this is great. Everyone's actually wanting to buy and they're still not buying, which means I can't blame the market for not buying from me. They bought from someone else. I'm going to find out what it is that person they're buying from. Actually, this is why we're doing the rankings. We're not doing the rankings so we all need to all compete with each other. We're doing the rankings so we can all learn from each other. It's like, oh, that one, it's because they're actually at a better price point. If I brought my price point down, then I'd sell as well, right? So you're actually using it as an R&D lab where every single day you can actually see how to tweak your product, which is what Genius U allows you to do, to actually then get the right product at the right time. You're ready to change your products and pricing based on feedback, right? So it's like, okay, I need to change the pricing now, and then actually get that approved in your pricing level, and then off you go. Understand what makes the best sellers sell best, act accordingly. There is no other live R&D lab that I know where you can do this in real time, the way we're doing it here. You know, we talk about this, and when you come to Masters, we kind of like show you some of this, but we don't actually basically put you in a live situation where you actually put to the test to say, does this actually sell or not? Find the true need of members and solve their problems. Like, this means that when you're actually speaking to someone, you say, oh, this person's got someone interesting, and you actually speak to them, know that everything is also selling opportunity. It's like, hey, by the way, if you did this, that could help you with your business. Oh, that's true. And by the way, give me feedback on my stuff. This is what I'm doing right now. Are you interested in any of this? Or if not, what would you be interested in? And like, no, I'm not interested in any of those things you have there. But I really like the fact that if you're doing podcasting, you could actually tweak some things on my podcast. I've already got a podcast. In fact, can you do this for YouTube videos? Got YouTube videos as well. Yeah, I probably could do that. Well, I'd be willing to pay you 200, Gene coins to do that for me. Okay, great, let's do that. So you're actually ending up having a way that people buy from you. And similarly, back and forth, you end up finding a way to actually tailor around someone's problem what that person's problem is, right? And then know that your best product is a happy customer, which means the whole focus here isn't trying to sell your product. It's trying to basically find the other trusted buyers that you can actually make even happier, where they're going to give you a testimonial, they're going to say something great about you, and then from that, you can then leverage that and then actually go out and find more customers, because most of your customers won't even come from the Trusted Buyers Club. It will come from you having testimonials, having people come on board, which then leads to everyone else within our community who are using the Genie Store, seeing the things that are selling best and saying, I want to buy that as well. And of course, by then it's become the right price at the right point as well. Multiply what works, delete what doesn't, right? So you actually are not going for another month basically wondering why your products aren't selling, when it could be something as obvious as the price point or the messaging or something like that as well, right? So a trusted seller is someone who's trusted to actually be delivering to the marketplace what the marketplace wants. And this market fit is the biggest trap that most entrepreneurs get into that they don't figure out. The number 3 is then to be a trusted partner. Like, this is the fact that this is not even about you buying and selling. It's the fact that the people in here are all entrepreneurs, and you can say, oh my gosh, that person's doing that thing. I should partner with that person. In fact, if we create a product together, I bet it'll sell even better than what we have right now. So know that your best partners start as your customers. Like, all our best partners are our customers right now. So don't start by basically saying, do you want to be my partner? Start by saying, how can I be this person's customer? How can I be a trusted buyer for them? And then as we figure out ways that we can work together, we'll figure out something new that we'll actually do together. And now you build trust, right? So be aware this club is a doorway to your most trusted partners. Seek to solve problems first as a buyer, then a seller, then as a partner. Don't start by saying, I want to partner up and I haven't sold anything yet. So start by buying out someone's product, then basically see if they wanted to buy your product or someone through them buys your product. And then you actually move on to actually saying, let's partner up together and realize every action and transaction adds trust within the group. The people we see who are the most active, who are helping others the most are the ones I'm going to want to buy from, right? Be willing to slow down and speed up, right? Which means this isn't about just like sitting back and just hoping the internet takes care of all of it. It's you saying, okay, who do I actually want to speak to today? Because they're doing something really interesting that I think I could really learn from. And we're actually learning from each other through the transactions rather than basically just looking at them from afar. And then actually say, if I spend a bit more time on this person's product, if I actually put more time into my own learning and I learn what they're up to, I can give them the feedback how they could even make this better. That will make them have a better product. They'll do the same for me as well. And appreciate that all the resources you need are right here. Like it's all within this group. This is about a whole different mindset, right? When you actually go, geez, I spent my whole life chasing stuff because the economy is built in a way that makes me chase stuff. I don't have to chase stuff here. Everyone's chasing everyone in here to actually be of value. How do I just be of value to others in here as well? Now, if you take those free and say, well, if that's what it is, what is it not, right? What is not is it's not about sitting back and simply waiting for everyone to buy. It's not about seeing yourself as a seller more than a buyer. It's not about being defensive when someone goes, maybe you should change this and go, well, what do you know? Or think you know better than your buyers, which is like, well, the reason they're not buying is just because they're stupid people, right? It's not about that. It's because you're actually not giving the market what the market wants. Don't be a jerk. It's not about being impatient, greedy, rude. It's like, I want this now. Why isn't this fixed? Why isn't this, like, no one wants someone like that in a trusted community, right? And while people can get away with bad behavior in the real world, the whole point of this club is that you know that people are there willing to give you time and wanting to help you. They're not just there with an agenda wanting to sell their stuff. Don't be a one-time wonder. Building trust and traction takes time. So that means don't come in for 1 week and go, well, that didn't work, and then leave again without realizing the bigger purpose of why we're doing this. And the fact that you happen to be the first group coming on board and be a part of this, where we actually get to actually lay down the sessions for how it works in the future. And don't think this is it. Like, Trusted Buyers Club isn't the game. This is like the game before the game. This is like the players having a friendly before they go for the World Cup, right? Like that what we're designing here is going to tweak, it's going to tune it. We're going to shift and change how we're doing it. What the actual amounts are each week. Is it $1,000 or $2,000? Should it be a different number? Some of you go to $10,000, $20,000. You'll get to $1 million business just through the Trusted Buyers Club, and then actually see all these incredible ways that you can now scale the things you're doing, even taking on people's services and passing them on to somebody else. And as this starts to happen and you realize, my gosh, like my whole world has changed because I actually I never have to worry about sales again. It's always going to be happening because I'm always just delivering value to others out there as well. And that's when people say it's not about the money, they really mean it, right? It's really not about the money. It's about the trust that you're building, and then the money takes care of itself. So what does that look like, right? It looks like daily actions, right? So daily actions are just take 20, like I say, as a minimum. Some of you I know will take more, but if you took 20 minutes every day and you just took a time each day, you're going to do this. You invest 10 minutes as a trusted buyer. Pay time, trust, GD coin. You invest 5 minutes as a trusted seller. Okay, now I'm going to inquire, improve, reach out on my own products. Invest 5 minutes as a trusted partner. Okay, who can I connect with, collaborate with, co-create with? So let's just take an example of that, right? If I was to say, okay, if I was to come to my page and I was to say on my page, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to basically just follow that process. So in I go, and I'm basically going to start with my dashboard. And the first thing that I would do when I come in is from the dashboard, I'll say, okay, like what's the universe sent to me today? I will start by basically saying, well, let's go have a look at messages. So I'll go to my messaging. And I'll check in on the messaging, and I'll look, okay, Patrick, making a documentary for Roger Hampton. Hi, Roger. Attending your workshop about 12 years ago. Seen your work since, joined your webinar about health lately. Great to see you support people in these pandemic times. Have you thought about making a documentary about your legacy mission? As award-winning filmmakers, we've raised $4 million for over 4 movies so far. Lead Earned Life, Marshall Goldsmith. You can watch the trailers here. Raise funds, produce, direct. I know your time's valuable, so we can plan everything in a way so the film does not take any of your time. It's like they want to make a film. They want $1 million for film. Shall we work on a cause? Like, that sounds great. Next, I'll review call next week. We'll just take one more. Sanjay is here. Hi, Roger. Hope you're well. On the backdrop of this pandemic, I've discovered Golden to make business 10x. Need your consultation ASAP to discuss and arrange the resources. Crystal Circle member who have tried very hard, however, is looking for opportunity for this perfect time. Question a time slot to discuss. Thanks. That's great to have a look at my profile, and you'll see Mentor Monday session and running and stream. Off we go. Right, so you get the idea. Like, there is every day the universe giving you stuff, right? And so don't and as you start actually then you really using Genius U and realizing the power of it, friend requests, like who is it out there that we can connect up with? People already will be finding and looking for you the moment you actually start actually going out there, getting connected. And this is not the same as a Facebook friend, right? I mean, these are people who actually have understood all the tools that we're talking about. They're people who have, so here's my friend request. So lots of friends, right? So there's no shortage. And if we say, okay, well, let's just have a look and see, well, who is it? Here's Rebecca Tan, right? So let's go see Rebecca. And here's Rebecca here. Rebecca Tan, she's in Singapore, right? Apprentice level. Climate action's a thing. Blaze, she's doing a whole bunch of different micro degrees. She wants to connect, friend request. So I'll just connect. And she most likely is opening to an entire universe of people who are all over Singapore. And so just by getting connected in with her straight away, that opens up a new pathway. But it's an entrepreneurial pathway. It's not just another conversation. This is now something which basically allows you to actually be able to connect in the right person. And then just before we go, I will do it right now, but I'd send her a message, say hi, and basically just see where she's up to and how she might be of value and maybe even want to come join the Trusted Buyers Club. And then what I'll do is I'll go, okay, let's actually go to the Trusted Buyers Club. Well, first of all, I'll look and see as a buyer, right? I'm not, at the moment, I'm not looking to get stuff, I'm looking to give stuff. So I'll basically go into the store and I'll say, okay, what's on that store at the moment? What are the key things that I can be a part of? I'll have a look down here. Here's the Mental Monday session that I just posted up here now as well. Inside Job, Life Online Murder. That's kind of interesting. That's pretty cool. So let me have a look at that one. So here we have Inside Job, Live Online Murder Mystery Game. This is kind of interesting. This is the next one. $500, right? One of the team is the murderer. Who is it? Who's lying? Who's telling the truth? Online murder mystery. I'm looking and saying how much is going to take. It's going to be Zoom. It's a mobile app. I love gaming. I want to figure out, is this gaming thing work well? 60, 90 minutes, minimum 6 people, maximum 12, anywhere in the world. This sounds super cool. Private function. Imagine if this actually grew to more. And maybe that's actually a program that we could then actually run as a fun thing to do during the crisis. So I will add that to cart. Check out. And I'm going to try it out, and then I'm going to give him support advice. But I'm thinking about this as a point of view of maybe we could plan on this. Maybe we could actually do things in an interesting way as well. I got Podcast Launch Express. That was Woon Tan's one that he's got at the moment. I'm going to come back to that in a second, right? I'm going to remove that in a second. But I really like what is happening here. So I'm going to proceed to check out and give that a go. Let me just put my details in here. Company purchase. No, it's not company purchase, it's me. Well, I'm just going to pay because it is my GE dollars.
Oh, you need to go back. You went through a traditional payment. You didn't add pay by Genie Coin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Okay.
That right button. Yeah, hit that one. You don't have to put in any details with Genie Coin.
Okay. Brilliant. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to be hearing from Nick, and then I can say, okay, cool. Well, when's this actually going to happen? And tell me more about it. Maybe I can bring some people along to this as well. And I want to do it not because I'm just saying I just wanted this. I'm saying I want to give him feedback. I want to actually see how I can help him more to actually grow what he's doing. And of course, by consuming his product, it's going to give me a way better way of actually seeing how that's going to work. And there's every chance Nick's going to look at my stuff and go, well, maybe we should be doing Nick's also actually Crystal Circle Man already. So straight away, it's like, okay, well, I know he's getting the value from the Crystal Circle. I was the one who suggested he start doing his stuff online because he's got a whole gaming, escape room company and so on that does all of this stuff already. So he knows about games and he's bringing it all online right now. So it's like, that's someone I want to learn from. So this actually gives you very quickly an idea of how you actually are, just from a trusted buyer's point of view, looking at the things that you're doing without even thinking about selling your own stuff. You're actually realizing just how valuable you are. I mentioned Woon Tan, right? So you have so many, so here's Woon Tan's one. So I'll look and say, this is really interesting because he does all this podcasting, which I've always been interested in. I don't need someone to actually do my whole podcast at the moment. In fact, he helped on some of the stuff. But what I do want to know is it possible to actually take podcasting rules and bring it to YouTube? I don't want to be paying him for this at the moment because of that, but I do want to see, does he have something that he could do that could actually pay for that? So I'm more likely to go to Woon Tan and just go to Woon Tan and say to Woon Tan, hey, Woon Tan, can we chat around this, on this? So I'm just going to send him a quick message and just say, hi, Woon Tan. saw your podcast offer. Let's talk on whether we can do something for YouTube. And then, of course, what's happening is he's getting messages from the market as to what actually is what the market wants, right? And he may say no, he may say yes, but the whole point is every day, if you actually think you're going to wake up in the morning and come in here and just see a gold mine of all of this basically offers support, people are actually helping you to make your business better because they're trusted buyers, right? They're in here to actually support. So hopefully everyone gets the idea of that you're actually in there thinking in this way. Trusted buying is like a gardener growing a garden. It's like, this is my garden. Every day it's going to get more and more fertile. It's going to get more and more beautiful. Trusted selling is the time they spend in the nursery nurturing. Right? So this is not about, I just want to sell, 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 and I don't even have a garden to sell to. This is about, I'm actually just nurturing my products in such a way that when I put them in the garden, they're just going to grow on their own. Right? And trusted partnership is enjoying the garden's gift of perpetual giving. It's like now you've got the actual like ongoing like fruit of your labor coming through that's coming in all these different partnerships. So I really hope from what I just shared, you get an idea of how this whole thing works. I want to finish with just a vision, and then I'll just open it. Kathleen can say if there's a few comments, questions coming through. But really do know that you actually are part of a series here where over next week, I can go deeper into the kind of like practical questions you might have. But it's so important to get this why, because some of you may have already been thinking, I didn't even realize this was about actually a change in behavior in terms of how I'm even thinking as an entrepreneur. And what if the whole world was to do this? So I want to finish with this, which is our future vision. So our future vision is of a microeconomy where giving becomes first, where everyone who steps into Genius U begins by being guided to what value they have to give. We want to make sure that anyone who's left behind at the end of the first week who hasn't sold any of their products, that we actually give them the time to say, do you know why you haven't sold your products? What is it that's making your product not sellable right now? Let's actually then tweak that and actually make them sellable. You can't leave Trusted Buyers Club without selling your products, which means you're going to have to learn what it is that you need to do to your products to price them right and to package them right to actually sell, which is gold in itself. Then as they trade that value with others in the trusted community, they see how to grow their value and be of high value. If every child, adult, and elder were given this real-time experience of how their value can be nurtured and grown, and while also realizing any resource they require is right in front of them and available in return for their value, we would end the notion of poverty, which is simply not having or being enough. Like poverty comes from basically someone sitting at home and saying, I just don't, or sitting on the street and saying, I just don't have anything to give anyone. Otherwise, they'd be giving it in a way that actually gives them a return. No one would need to get a job if they knew they could always create a job. To do this begins with 4 things: knowing your value, having a trusted community, having motivated buyers, and having a community compassionate currency, right? I'd rather it was called a compassionate currency than a community currency, because it is actually about something which is coming with love as opposed to something which is taking love away. So hopefully I've explained a bit about not just what are the 3 big steps which actually will allow you to master the Trusted Buyers Club, but actually 3 big steps which actually allows you to get a glimpse into the kind of future microeconomies I believe we're going to be running. I will drop those links into the circle, you have them as well. But now coming over to Kathleen. Kathleen, would you like to share, because I'm not looking at the circle right now, any immediate questions, comments popping up from what I just went through?
Hello. It doesn't look like there are any immediate questions on here in the circle comments. I can see everyone looks totally enwrapped in what you're saying. So I'll definitely be posting the slides and stuff that Roger shared as well into the circle post the call and the recording, so you can digest this a couple more times over the weekend as well. I know it's a lot to take in. I definitely am really excited about everything you've just shared, Roger, so thanks for that.
Awesome. So everyone who just listened in and who got the sense of the power of this Trusted Buyers Club and got an insight or just a sight into the potential future of what we could actually be creating here on Genius U. Can you please just give me a thumbs up so I can see who just got this? Okay, that is so super awesome. I mean, I am everyone except Yvette. No, Yvette's got a thumbs up. So what I am super excited about is already just how many new products have actually shown up even in the last day. And just even looking at it, already there's things I want to buy, already there's things I want to give feedback on. So just know this is all coming as we go through it. And even next week as we go through it as well, the sooner you get your products up and actually just get everything fine-tuned to the best of your ability, the sooner we can actually show those as examples as we lead up to Wednesday. So you can actually keep fine-tuning and from the learning you can get over those sessions. Like really well worth investing your time being in those sessions. Anyone listening to this recording who on this one, getting it real time really helps as well. So do make the time to be on the call. We're all busy, but this was going to really super help you in the future as we actually get started on this as well. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch up with you all again next week.
See you on Monday, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.